All right, Jean-Francois Dionne, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to High Aerial and the global UAV family.
Thanks, Trevor. It's a good opportunity for me to expand my career, and I think I've chosen a good outfit to go from there on.
Well, we're certainly happy to have you on board. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown of your career and kind of what led you to the global UAV company?
Yes. I started back in the late 90s in doing surveying for mining. I came out of college and university, and my first job was being in the pit and surveying, with older technology. And as my career grew to using aerial imagery, to remote sensing, satellite, through various other career steps, including consulting, governmental outfits, and environmental engineering. I always had to find the best way to go out and do the data collection on site. So as newer and better sensors were coming out, robotics was something that was also becoming a lot more accessible to basically anybody. And so in the mid 2000, I started toying with some electronics and started programming code for building my own UAVs, because I saw the light very early that flying your own platform would basically cut out the middleman and save quite a lot of money for my employers, and at the same time enjoying doing my own data collection with flying units. And so that was quite early on, and as technology and regulations came in, obviously through various governmental departments, we had to move around and be swift to be able to keep doing our work commercially. And back in about 5 or 6 years ago, we went full out commercial through another company I worked for, consulting, environmental and engineering consulting. We did a lot of mining, landfill surveys, that kind of stuff. And I started using a commercial grade UAV that's one of the leaders out there in the UAV world. And so at one point I decided, I kind of saw the light that people would need those in pretty much everywhere. So I jumped ship and started distributing UAV system and started equipping mining operators, consulting firms, construction firms using UAVs. So I then started to deploy technology across Eastern Canada, basically to world renowned mining companies, and I made quite a bit of contacts through the last 3 or 4 years doing that job, and so at one point I was not tired of selling equipment, but it was becoming always the same type of you meet a client, shake hands, do a nice demonstration, provide a turnkey solution and ways to work with the data, but that was the end of it. I never really had fun trying and doing stuff with these people. I just gave them the tools to do their own stuff, and so I really was missing that feeling of doing my own work. And so the opportunity came up with Global and the newly acquired High division to come on board, and that's where I am now.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And you've got obviously a great wealth of experience. What kind of direction do you think High has kind of advantages with as they move forward and kind of differentiating themselves from the other survey division under Global UAV, which is Pioneer.
Yes. Uh, the high will obviously have its own niche of going out and collecting aerial imagery, IRES aerial imagery, and LiDAR data. But I think all divisions will work together as one to share efforts. We are all good at what we're doing in each of the divisions, and we will be able to deploy ourselves collaboratively to share the work. That being said, we might have an opportunity in one sector, and then suddenly there's a need for example for mag surveys, and then we would tie in with Pioneer that would come and help us finish the work. So I think we will all be good separately, but at the same time always looking at building something big collaboratively, being experts in each of our divisions.
Very good. And you did mention briefly in that response about LiDAR. And for people who are kind of unfamiliar with that system, can you describe what LiDAR is and why it's unique?
So LiDAR has been around for quite a while. It's a laser scanner that shoots hundreds of thousands of points from an airborne platform, and those laser shots define a X, Y, and Z point in space that can be within a few centimeters of accuracy. Now, shoot thousands of those points over the same area, you can penetrate the canopy and go hit bare earth ground surface. So that has a lot of applications where you've got very dense canopy cover and you're trying to get detailed topography on the ground. Right now, I would say almost 100% of LiDAR is being served off of aerial platform, being either by helicopter or by fixed-wing airplanes. Obviously, that will cover immense areas, but the value of equipping the same type of technology on a UAV that will fly at a slower pace, at a lower altitude, will provide a higher density of point per square meter and with a lot more accuracy on the ground. So for some applications, and we are presently defining very niche markets for that, but existing markets would be in, for example, mining industry. Ponds and tailings is a big thing right now for the environmental sector. There has been a lot of accidents over the last 5 years where tailings have failed, and so using that type of technology on UAVs is cost effective and will derive data sets that are so accurate you will be able to detect any type of geotechnical issues on those tailings. So this is just one application. But the fact that it's equipped under a UAV, it's quickly deployable, and within a few days, you can quickly derive 3D models and do calculations on the any deficiencies on that tailings.
Well, and it sounds like applying the LiDAR to a UAV is a lot more cost effective and in smaller area of scope of work rather than a fixed-wing airplane or helicopter, which is more of a regional type of survey, right?
Absolutely, and I mean there will always be a need for larger areas, but the small scale of most of our project, the UAV LiDAR capability will cater to most of our clients. And the fact that it's easily deployable will be a benefit to our clients because of cost effectiveness and quickly be able to derive the data right on site when we are at the client's locations.
And so this has a great. It can be very applicable to some of the work that Global is doing in Central America as well, which we've recently announced this week. Obviously, Hi doing work in St. Lucia, Pioneer doing work in Guatemala, as we announced earlier today. So the LiDAR will really help kind of expand that market base, correct?
Absolutely, and in those areas, I am not too familiar yet with all the projects. Obviously, I'm familiar with the St. Lucia project because I'm the one running it. But for the Guatemala work, obviously, if mag surveys are being done over heavily canopied forested areas, and we know Guatemala is quite it's a Central American country with a very dense canopied treed zones. Sometimes there is correlation between mag and topography. So for sure the two technologies will marry themselves very, very well. But we can expand on mining exploration to corridor mapping, with LiDAR for hydroelectric surveys on infrastructure inspection, for vegetation encroachment on hydro corridors, pipeline surveys, erosion problems on banks of rivers, floodplain mapping in constricted urban areas. These are all very specific applications where the small scale of the UAV LiDAR will fit in very, very well. And obviously there is still some regulation things to work out, like beyond line of sight. But that's something that we're also looking at working on in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Have you had the opportunity to fly the Procyon as of yet, or?
I am working with the rest of the Nova Aerial team. Side by side. I'm obviously not an engineer, but I'm in the same office, and the Nova Aerial team has definitely have some very bright minds, all working together to bring that aerial platform to the next level. They're in production right now, and we have a few test sites around town now that we're using to fly these units. And no, I have not yet flown the Procyon, but I am very eager to put my hands on the stick and flying my first mission with it. I've asked the payload designers to get ready for a multi-combination, high-resolution, multispectral, and RGB sensor and integrated with LiDAR, because we could plug in our LiDAR and connect a multispectral sensor and colorize the LiDAR with multispectral signatures, which is not something that everybody does, and something that we could R&D inside and propose to our clients.
Yeah, well, that's great. I was just curious, before coming on board with Hi, what was your awareness of global UAV and the type of company that they've become in the last year?
It's funny because I was on the other side of the fence. I was a salesman trying to sell equipment to companies like Global. So I knew the market very well, and I knew who the players were for service providers in Canada and abroad, but mostly in Canada because that's where I was working. I've been following the story from very early on of Global, and I've watched them grow. and taking steps in getting the best people and best companies, bringing everybody together into one team. I think that it's not it's not a surprise that I'm working for them, because I always have looked at them with a lot of respect. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good minds at the director level, and from I've only been there for 2 weeks now, but I'll be honest, the team at in Kempville at Nova Aerial is something else. So yeah, I'm very happy to be on board and be able to share my ideas and work as a team now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're really happy to have you on board as well. I think it's safe to say I speak for the rest of the people at Global UAV. We are really excited about what's to come with High Aerial, and to see some of the experience of yours get put into place. So thank you so much for being part of it.
Thank you very much for your time, Trevor.
All right, thank you. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, thanks.